Thanks for joining us on our virtual plot tour. We're glad you could take this in. We're going to go learn what makes certified seed more than just seed in a bag. We found Mike Holzworth out in his plots. Mike is the research agronomist with C&M Seeds. Mike, all these plots across here, they're almost like your babies, right? You're caring for them every day in the field. How many are out here?
Well, yeah, I do spend a lot of time out here. There's around 6,000 plots that we have. We have 2 different locations in Palmerston and one in Kincardine as well, Kincardine-Ripley area. Yeah, so yeah, in the summertime, we're out here every day taking notes and looking at differences and
lots of sunscreen, making sure you get a little water in there.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
So what kind of things are you looking for when you're out here?
Well, we're getting varieties from all over the world, and we're testing them for the Ontario environment. Yeah. Obviously, we're testing for yield. That's the biggest one, but we're testing with the environment comes different diseases. And this year we have powdery mildew issue. The crop's really thick, and there seems to be lots of powdery mildew show up this year. Next year it might be a different disease. Whatever it is, every year brings something different. But we rate and record those notes and determine whether the varieties likes Ontario or not. You're
likely a little bit different than most agronomists. Most of us are trying to not find disease, but you're looking for them. You want them to show up so you can eliminate varieties, right?
That's right.
Speaking of elimination, you get rid of a lot of these every year, right? Like, how many do you keep?
Yeah, so every year the varieties that we get from other regions of the world, like we test them, we will basically eliminate 80 to 90% of them.
80%, yeah. 90%.
Yep. So it's just the best varieties that we keep, and the next year half of those or maybe more will be eliminated then too, right? So it's a process of elimination. So
that's what research is, I guess.
Yeah. We're looking for that next big winner, and unfortunately they can't all be winners. So
let's talk about a little bit about how long it takes for a producer to see a variety.
Yeah, so from initial cross to something that the farmer can grow, it takes about 12 years. We'll have them in these trials on the research station here for about 6 years. So
6 years. Yeah. So it's a long time before you get to pick up a bag and say this came from the research plots. Yeah. 6 years is a long time, at least at a minimum. Yeah. Let's go see if we can find out Jeff to talk about quality control. What happens next? Yeah. Where is he? Okay, we found Jeff Williamson, our seed production manager. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Rob.
So there's a lot more than just putting high quality certified seed in a bag than just putting seed in a bag, right? Where does it start?
Absolutely, Rob. It starts, first of all, it starts with our growers. We have a good selection of growers throughout the province. They do an excellent job for us. They take great pride in what they do, and that's evident in the quality of seed that they deliver to us on a consistent basis.
I would certainly agree. Our seed producers are definitely our #1 ambassador for certified seed. They do a great job in bringing it along. So the seed's standing in a field. There's got to be some process to quality control even before it hits our place, right?
Absolutely. Every year we have field inspectors that come out. They're a third party, so it's not us. It's a third party inspection service that comes out. They inspect all of our seed fields. They make sure that they meet the quality standards required by CSGA regulations. Yeah. And so before it's ever harvested, we have great confidence that the seed coming off the field is in good shape.
Excellent. So seeds hit a combine. There's got to be more to the quality control story.
Yeah, absolutely. We ask our growers to take composite samples from each load as they are harvesting. We obtain those samples. We bring them into our seed lab. We do our own germination testing on them to make sure it's good, sound seed. We also do a purity inspection on them, make sure that it's doesn't have, weed seeds or other foreign material in them that we don't want to see.
Selection of lots, whatever you have to do, right? Absolutely. Make sure we put the best quality in a bag.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're finally down to the point where it's through the cleaner, it's going to a bag. There's more to the story, I'm guessing?
Absolutely. Once we start bringing in the producer seed. We sample each load before we unload it. You know, again, we check it for purity, make sure that it looks good that way. We unload it. Once we start cleaning it, we're constantly taking samples, monitoring that, checking again for weed seeds or any other impurities that shouldn't be there. You know, we may do another germ test on them as well at that point. When it comes time to packaging, then the seed goes in the bag. We take another representative sample of the entire seed lot, and we have accredited graders on site that grade the seed again for purity. We also take a sample and we send it away to an accredited seed lab for a final official germination test.
You're a busy guy, Jeff. You have a lot to take control of, and I think it's pretty evident by the story you've just told that there's a lot more to high quality seed than just putting seed in a bag. Let's go see if we can find Ellen around here. Okay, I found you, Ellen. We're at the back of the plots.
Here I am.
So first off, we're going to start out with, you've been honored with a great recognition, one of the most influential women in Canadian agriculture. Congratulations.
Thank you. That was quite a surprise. I'm very honored. It's a great group of women, and I had a bunch of great individuals nominate me and make some great comments.
Yep.
So yeah, it was fantastic.
So Ellen, our general manager, has been with us for how long?
Like forever, Rob, really. So I celebrated my 25th anniversary with C&M this April, and GM though I think since 2015, I believe. So
moved through the research role. This was where you started, is picking out your babies.
Correct. I picked out my babies. Yes. Yep.
So any new babies coming along in the field?
We do have a new baby coming along, just in production this year. Pretty excited about it. Can't really give you a name or anything quite yet, but yeah, it's been supported. Looks
Maybe
good.
one of you can name it.
Right. We're always looking for good names, actually,
absolutely.
for wheat varieties.
One of the hardest jobs.
Yeah. So,
let's go find it.
yeah, you know what, Rob? That's a great idea. Why don't we go find our new? Where do you think it is?
I don't know.
Why don't y'all come with us and we're gonna go check out our new variety.
Okay, Ellen, we found it.
We're here.
Yeah. So this is our next variety, right?
It is our next upcoming soft red winter wheat. Yes, and very excited to see the potential of this one once it hits fields.
So I like the look of it. It's not on, which is nice. We've had a lot of on varieties recently.
We have, yep.
Yep. What other features are you looking forward to with this one?
So, I mean, through the testing phase, you know, it's shown great yield potential, good disease package overall. You know, we put it through those fusarium tests as well. So it's showing good fusarium tolerance at this point too. And I think what's important on the yield perspective, I mean, it does great everywhere, of course, but particularly area 2, Rob, we seem to be seeing some good yield opportunities there.
So area 2, central, or I guess that's Midwestern Ontario.
Right.
Looks particularly great there. That's nice to see.
Very good.
Anything else? It's thick.
It's thick, seems to stand pretty good. It's just, you know, a pretty variety to look at. I always like looking for those great varieties, you know, as you're driving along. But yeah, overall, just a promising variety, I think. And again, stay tuned for the name or send us some suggestions.
That's right.
And
you could name it.
you could name it. We'll be on the production side, I guess, Rob. Will be, you know, still a couple of years. This is our first breeder plot actually that we're standing in.
2 years out. We plan on having a couple of research plots available. We're going to try to spread those across the province to see if we can see where it works best. So stay tuned. You could get a plot this fall. Next year for sure we'll have it spread right across the province in side-by-side plots. Okay.
We're excited.
Let's go see if we can find Alex and Tim. I know they're hiding over at another research plot somewhere. Let's go find them.
Let's go find them.
Hi everyone, Alex Zelem here with Tim Williamson, agronomist with C&M Seeds. Thank you for taking the time to check out our virtual plot tour. We're in a beautiful looking demonstration site on May 18th. We're going to walk you through some variety characteristics and other features of the soft red and hard red categories in our lineup. This demonstration site we're in here today was planted on September 25th. It's at growth stage 32. The variety we're in here first is Blaze. Blaze is becoming my personal favorite, and it's the favorite of a lot of growers across the province. It's green out of the gate in the spring, clean, and just looks awesome. It's been on the market for about 3 years now, and people really, really like it, and it's starting to take some traction province-wide. Works excellent across the whole province. It fits many different soil types, clays, clay loams, sandy loams. Has a great fit. Features a small seed size, so when we're targeting a desired population, it does not take as many pounds per acre to reach that population, so there's a significant seed cost savings there too. When we look at early spring disease pressure, Blaze is exceptionally clean. Very little powdery mildew from what we've seen, very little septoria. We'll look into the bottom of the canopy here. You can see it's exceptionally clean. No septoria, no powdery mildew. Looks amazing. Its one key feature is fusarium protection. Blaze features an FHB1 trait that gives it a competitive edge amongst all other varieties. It's exceptionally well in fusarium. I know we haven't had fusarium for a number of years now, but if we do get into those situations, Blaze will certainly excel above the others. We haven't had stripe rust in a number of years, but it has excellent stripe rust resistance. When we're looking at heading maturity, Blaze does head about 1 to 2 days slower than the rest, and it's an average maturity, not the earliest, but definitely not the latest. When we're considering lodging, Blaze, it stands up quite well, but when we get into scenarios with high fertility, high seeding rates, and growers wanting to push nitrogen, I think we definitely need to be considering a plant growth regulator in those specific scenarios. Otherwise, it stands up quite well. Provides excellent straw volume with nice bright colored straw and lots of tonnage. At harvest, test weight is average to above average. You'll definitely put some tons into the bins. So now we're going to take a closer look at Hilliard. Hilliard is another one of our new soft reds to our lineup. It's been on the market for 3 years now. Growers have praised its characteristic as being nice and uniform and a high quality soft red crop. Fits well in most parts of the province, but I tend to keep it in the south to southwestern end, area 1, area 2 in particular. Keep it on your clay loams or your loam soil types. I tend to keep it off the heavier clay soils. It just seems to excel better in those loamier conditions for sure. Features a medium seed size, nice and even to plant. It plants really nice when we're targeting a desired population. In terms of early season diseases, we can look down at the canopy here. Exceptionally clean. Again, maybe a slight hint of some early septoria, but again, the T1 fungicide that was applied here certainly kept it clean. Essentially no powdery mildew. This crop that we're in here is exceptionally even and will stay that way all the way till heading. Head's exceptionally even too. It's got a solid score on fusarium, but we definitely got to keep in mind that we put a T3 fungicide on to keep it clean right till harvest. When we had the instance of stripe rust a few years back, very little stripe rust noticed in Hilliard. Its heading date is average, but it matures on the earlier end. It would be one of our earliest maturing soft red varieties. It has exceptional standability when we're looking at lodging. Can handle those higher management scenarios quite well. Above average straw volume, and is probably one of the brightest straws I think I've ever seen. Features exceptional test weight and thrashes extremely well. Here we want to take a closer look at Cruze. Cruze has had a loyal following for the last 6 years. Originally was destined for Area 1 south of London, but over the last number of years, we have learned it works quite well across the whole province. Works excellent across a wide range of soil types, clays, clay loams, the sandy loams. Excels in those soils for sure. Features a small seed size similar to Blaze. So again, when targeting a desired population, requires a lot less pounds per acre to reach that target. It's significant seed cost savings there for sure. Disease, in terms of early spring disease pressure, Cruze is quite good. Here we're going to look at the lower canopy here. There is some early onset of septoria. This demonstration site did receive a T1 fungicide, so it's definitely holding it at bay. Nothing to be concerned about, very little yield impact, but definitely something to keep in mind as we look for some early season diseases. Essentially no powdery mildew, but the rest of the canopy looks quite healthy, green, and should be good right to the finish line. Thinking about stripe rust, I know we haven't had much stripe rust in the last few years. When we did have the epidemic of stripe rust a few years back, we did see some in Cruze. Definitely monitor, but it is very controllable with a T1 and a half fungicide. Heading date is average compared to the others. It's a little ahead of Blaze, but not by too much. Matures right with the rest of them. Would call it mid-range maturity. When it comes to standability, Cruze stands exceptionally well and can stand the test of high management wheat production. Again, in those instances with high fertility, high seeding rates, high nitrogen rates, would strongly recommend using a plant growth regulator. Cruze pumps out big straw volumes for those looking for straw. Again, nice, clean, bright colored straw. And we get a nice plump kernel, heavy test weight at harvest.
So now we'd like to take a closer look at our hard red varieties. We're going to switch the classes here, and we've moved sites to a different location, but this crop is also at a very similar stage to what we were with the soft reds. It is growth stage 32. We have the second node available, and the first variety that we're going to look into or take a look at is Lexington. Our Lexington variety is a very high quality wheat. It is certainly known for a very nice uniform canopy and a very high quality plump grain kernel. So as it grows, we've had it for about 4 years for sale now, and positioning, a lot of the success we've heard comes from the regions to Eastern Ontario and Northern Ontario for the most part. We've had many great results too in Area 2, Southwestern Ontario, but primarily we see it going East and Northern Ontario with the strongest results. And when we take a look at getting this crop established, it most years has had quite a large seed size. So that is something to keep in mind as you're programming, setting the drill, calibrating the drills, and making the assessment for the seed orders. It is sometimes a large seed variety, but once we get things going here, we will have a little closer look into the very lower canopy at this stage. So when we open things up in this situation, it is evident here that there is a fairly substantial amount of powdery mildew, and we found that the growing season this year has kept all the sprayers out of the field. So we do have some powdery mildew affecting this variety close up, and a recent application of fungicide will hold that at bay and allow this to keep going. But with that being said, generally the canopy of Lexington is quite healthy, a nice deep color, and Once we move on to the flag leaf staging, as this crop grows, we're going to see a nice uniform canopy right through to heading. We find this variety to have an early heading date and an early maturity will line up to be one of the first hard reds for the combine. If we get into some really high managed situations, thick canopies, we're going to want to monitor this one for some lodging. There is a chance that the tillers and the stems, if we get in a real dense canopy, there could be an instance of lodging. So something to monitor early on and consider the use of growth regulators. But alongside that, we do expect very large straw volumes from Lexington, an above average test weight in the grain. Like we said, a very plump kernel. And as far as quality goes with the hard red, the importance on protein, Lexington has been a class leader in protein year in and year out for us as well. Pro 81 is a racehorse variety that we've had for sale for 3 years now, also alongside Adrianus. And we've grown Pro 81 in all parts of the province as well. It can travel across many varieties of soil types, ranges of soil types. At seeding time, we're going to keep an eye on the seeding rates with Pro 81 for 2 reasons. It has a very small seed size. When seeding, it is important to keep the populations under control. So just be mindful of the smaller seed size generally. That also gives the growers the chance to get to the desired seed rate with less pounds of seed. So a bit of a positive there. The reason we want to be mindful of the population, and something that we know when we look down in the canopy here too, the ability for the Pro 81 to tiller very well is the reason why we don't want to overdo the populations primarily. It is a variety that will put out many tillers when given the space. As well, when we look in the lower canopy here, we see some early onset of some septoria that existed previous, but staying in the base of the canopy, and the new growth is coming up quite clean. Again, in most years, we've had great experience with the Pro 81 staying clean all the way through from this stage through to flag leaf. Both the Adrianus and the Pro 81 varieties will not be affected by stripe rust if that happens to become an issue in your geography or the province. Past that as well, the fusarium and dawn issues in both, actually all 3 of the varieties, we would say that the fusarium threats in the hard red class are quite low in general. The heading date for this Pro 81 will be on the early side of things. It seems to be one of the first ones ready for the combine. Heading date and maturity in line. This is certainly one to watch for lodging. I would call this a risky variety, especially in a dense canopy with high fertility, primary candidate for a plant growth regulator. But alongside that thick canopy will obviously become a very strong straw volume. When we have the combine and the sample, we'll have a great test weight, very strong test weight, and a very strong protein to match as well. Now we're going to take a look at the variety Adrianus. Adrianus is one of our highest performing wheats in the hard red class. It's been for sale for just 3 years now, but quickly it has accumulated quite a fan following. It is a variety that we would take to all parts of Ontario. Any soil types that have adequate drainage, we could use Adrianus on. The seed size generally has been large with Adrianus. Again, it's just something to keep in mind when you're targeting a specific population at planting. But generally, when we look into the springtime and we take a closer look at the canopy, we find in this case only the slightest instance of some early low septoria. The new leaves and the leaves past everything are quite clean, and we have noticed that year in, year out with this Adrianus genetics, that it stays quite clean through the entire growing season. It's already starting to display some of its upright leaf structure. We've noticed that right through to flag leaf. We find Adrianus to be one of the most slightly delayed in growth staging. It will take a couple days longer than the other varieties beside it to get through to heading and through to maturity, and also with the combine. So just something, again, to keep in mind, not at all a detriment, just kind of a fact of the way it grows. When we think about the risk for lodging and standability with Adrianus, we found it to stand very well. Probably the class leader for standability. Only a handful of instances ever recorded of it having lodging issues. So we do think that this has really excellent legs at proper seeding rates and proper management. We think that this variety can stand tall the whole season long. Alongside the standability, the straw volume that comes from Adrianus is quite large. We have had many reports of very large windrows following Adrianus crop. The grain test weight, we have an above average test weight and a very suitable protein level for the yield levels we're able to obtain here, and a nice high quality grain for the mills to work with. Today I'm standing in a field of Brasetto hybrid rye. This is one really impressive looking crop. This farmer has really treated it well. We have canopy that's about 4 feet tall here. It's been a really unique and interesting story in the Ontario market in the last 6 years. We started with a few small acres, and now there's a few thousand acres spread across Ontario, given the demand and the grower uptake. It is really an impressive crop. You can see by this stand and the size of the heads. The other unique characteristics are the tremendous head size when you compare it to other cereal crops. In the fall, when we seed the crop, we are seeding it by a population count per acre. So with this, we're targeting roughly half the rate of a winter wheat crop at 800,000 seeds per acre, aiming for a September planting, which we've had here, and fairly favorable conditions through the winter. The reason for that is to get the right population of main plants and tillers to form in the fall, and the full amount of heads and yield potential possible for the next year. The nutrient strategies that can be used in these crops are very similar to that of a soft red winter wheat program. We would be looking towards 120 units of nitrogen and at least 15 units of sulfur to match as well. Seems to be the sweet spot for managing the crop for fertility and maximum results. So another unique feature of the hybrid rye specifically is the finished height of the crop. We're going to be about 5 feet tall with this crop, where we see a lot of the common and conventional varieties end up at 6 feet tall. That's a real aid in the standability of the crop while also producing all kinds of straw volumes. The standability is excellent and about a foot shorter than commercial rye. So a crop like this has been protected with 2 passes of fungicide. The grower actually mentioned he's planning to come in here later today with the second pass. There would have been something put on earlier on in the crop to protect that first initial growth. Grows very quickly in the first of the spring. It's the first crop to green up in the countryside and comes on very strong once winter is through.